Welcome to the deep dive.
What?
We cut through the noise to bring you the essential insights you need.
Yeah, trying to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And if you're wrestling with modern software applications, well, you know the feeling, right? These complex systems, dozens of moving parts,
Mm.
and that constant struggle just to keep everything organized, efficient, especially, when it comes to deployment.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer volume of information, configuration, it can be genuinely overwhelming.
It really can. So this deep dive is, we hope, your shortcut to clarity.
And today, we're diving into Helm.
Yes, Helm. It's a really powerful tool in the Kubernetes ecosystem.
Mm.
The idea is that it simplifies what can often feel like a truly daunting task.
Oh, often is, yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack exactly what Helm is, maybe explore why it became so essential.
And how it actually works, how it tackles those tricky pain points.
Right. The deployment, the management of applications on Kubernetes, and we're drawing our insights today from Helm, Kubernetes Package Management Made Easy.
Okay. And I think to really get why Helm is so valuable, we kind of need to set the scene first. What was life like before Helm really took off?
Good point. Let's paint that picture.
Kubernetes itself, it's incredibly powerful, right? For automating deployments, scaling, managing containers.
Weird out.
But that power, well, it definitely comes with its own inherent complexity, significant complexity sometimes.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Before Helm, if you wanted to deploy even a, let's say, moderately complex app on Kubernetes, it was a very manual process, often painstaking.
Yeah, painstaking is a good word.
You had to create multiple YAML configuration files, and not just a few, but for every single Kubernetes resource.
We're talking pods, services, deployments.
Config maps, persistent volume claims, the list goes on.
Right. Imagine trying to manage dozens, maybe even hundreds of these separate YAML files just for one application.
It sounds like a recipe for mistakes.
It really was like trying to build a huge Lego city, but every single brick has its own separate handwritten instruction manual.
Oh.
So the manual burden was huge, incredibly time-consuming, very prone to errors, and just genuinely difficult to maintain, especially for those complex apps with lots of components.
Or external dependencies, I bet.
Exactly. And if you missed just one tiny detail in one file,
The whole thing could, just not work?
pretty much, or work incorrectly in subtle ways, then you had the dependency headaches.
Okay, so like my web app needs a database.
Right. Or a caching layer, a message queue, whatever.
Fair.
Before Helm, you had to manually configure and deploy each of those components separately,
Oh, wow.
which, as you can imagine, massively increased the risk of misconfigurations.
Yeah.
Get one detail wrong in the database setup, and your main application just won't launch, or it'll fall over later.
I can see how that would be a nightmare. And what about updates or consistency?
Yeah, big challenges there too. Updating an application or maybe rolling back to an older, stable version. That meant manually modifying and reapplying who knows how many configuration files.
Carefully, I imagine.
Very carefully. And trying to ensure the exact same setup across, say, development, staging, and production environments, that was incredibly error-prone.
Right, you'd get those "it works on my machine" moments, but amplified across entire environments.
Precisely, leading to these hard-to-track inconsistencies that always seem to pop up at the worst possible time.
Okay, so the stage is set, lots of manual work, lots of potential for error. So enter Helm.
Enter Helm, yeah. It's often described quite accurately, I think, as the apt or YUM for Kubernetes users.
Like a package manager.
Exactly, a package manager specifically for the Kubernetes ecosystem.
Okay, so what does it actually do? How does it simplify things?
Well, it streamlines that whole process we just described.
Yeah.
Installing, configuring, managing applications on Kubernetes clusters.
Yeah.
It gives you a standardized way to package, distribute, and deploy even complex applications using these things called Helm charts.
Helm charts. Okay, what are those exactly?
Think of a chart as a bundle, a collection of files. It includes templates, usually written in YAML.
Templates. So not raw YAML.
Right. Templated YAML that defines your Kubernetes resources. And crucially, it includes a special file, usually called values.yaml.
Values.yaml.
Yeah. That file lets you easily customize those templates. You provide simple configuration overrides, maybe for different environments, like dev versus prod.
I see. So you define the structure once in the templates.
And then you just plug in the specific values you need for a particular deployment using that values.yaml file, or even command line arguments. That templating is what makes charts so reusable.
Now, this sounds like where it gets really practical for,
Yeah.
for you listening. You can deploy complex applications with just a single command. using these charts.
That's the goal, yeah, because the chart contains those templated YAML files.
Yeah.
You provide simple values like maybe database name, my production commit, or replica count, 5.
Okay.
And Helm takes those values, populates the templates, and generates all the necessary Kubernetes YAML manifests on the fly behind the scenes.
So it drastically reduces that need to manually manage all those individual YAML files yourself.
Exactly. It abstracts away a lot of that complexity.
So let's connect this back. How does Helm specifically address those challenges we talked about earlier? That massive manual burden, for instance.
Well, that's the simplifying deployment benefit, right? Managing all those YAML files by hand, Helm tackles that directly.
With the single command, like Helm install?
Precisely. You run something like Helm install my release stable WordPress, maybe provide some custom values, and that one command orchestrates creating all the underlying Kubernetes resources, deployments, services, secrets, whatever that chart defines.
Okay, so no more painstaking, error-prone fiddling with dozens of YAML files by hand.
Much, much less of it, certainly.
And what about that nightmare of keeping things consistent? Dev, staging, prod, ensuring the same setup. You mentioned reusability.
Absolutely. That's where reusability comes in big time. Because Helm charts are templated, they're highly reusable.
So you use the same chart, but just tweak the values.
Exactly. You customize them for different environments, dev, staging, prod, simply by providing different values.yaml files or setting values on the command line. You don't have to rewrite entire configurations from scratch each time.
That sounds like a huge time saver. And a big boost for consistency, I imagine.
It really is. A massive boost.
Okay, and thinking bigger picture. Modern apps often depend on other services, right?
Yeah.
That dependency management issue, you mentioned the web app needing a database or cache. How does Helm handle that?
Yeah, Helm is specifically designed to manage those complex dependencies too. A chart can declare that it depends on another chart.
Oh, interesting.
So when you install your application chart, Helm can automatically pull in and install the charts for its dependencies, like a database chart, ensuring they're installed correctly and in the right order.
So it figures out, okay, I need to deploy the database before the web app that uses it.
Exactly. Before Helm, you had to manually sequence those deployments. If you had 5 dependencies, you deploy them one by one, checking configurations, making sure they were ready. Helm streamlines that whole dependency dance.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, if all this configuration is sort of treated as code within the chart, I'm thinking version control must become really powerful here. Is that how it helps with upgrades and rollbacks?
Precisely. That's a key benefit. Helm tracks different versions or revisions of your deployment.
Revisions, okay.
So this makes it incredibly easy to upgrade to a newer version of your application chart, or maybe, if something goes wrong with a new release,
Rollback.
yeah, roll back to a previous stable version. It's usually just another simple Helm command. You're not guessing which combination of YAML files represented the last good state.
You just tell Helm, go back to revision 3 or whatever.
Right. You tell Helm which version of the chart or which revision of the deployment you want active. Much more reliable and reproducible.
And, you know, beyond just making life easier for individual deployments, this whole approach, treating deployments as versioned charts,
Yeah.
that really enables those GitOps workflows we hear about, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamental to doing GitOps effectively on Kubernetes. By versioning your application deployments as charts, often stored right alongside your application code in Git.
You're treating your infrastructure, or at least your application deployment configuration, as code.
Exactly, which is a massive leap forward for consistency, auditability, collaboration, all those good things.
Okay, one more thing. You often hear about the community around tools like this. Is that significant for Helm?
Hugely significant. The vibrant community and ecosystem are a major strength. There's a central place, Artifact Hub, which evolved from the older Helm Hub,
Right.
where you can find and share charts for tons of popular applications. Things like WordPress, MySQL, Redis, and Jinx, you name it.
So you often don't have to start from scratch.
Often, no. You can leverage charts built and maintained by the community, customize them with your values, and get running much faster.
That sounds incredibly useful.
It is. Now, of course, like any powerful tool, there's a learning curve, especially for building complex, enterprise-grade charts. You need to understand templating logic, best practices for security, maybe managing your own private Helm repositories.
Sure, it's not magic.
No, but it's a world away from that tangled web of manual YAML we started with.
Definitely sounds like it. So let's bring it back to you, the listener. What does all this mean for you? It sounds like by solving these core pain points, the YAML overload, dependency nightmares, versioning headaches.
Helm just makes Kubernetes significantly more accessible and more efficient.
Right, whether you're just starting out and looking for that shortcut to getting applications deployed effectively.
Or you're an experienced pro dealing with really large-scale, complex deployments.
Helm seems to transform what was, frankly, a daunting task into something much more manageable.
I think that's fair to say. To sum it up, Helm really acts as that essential simplifying layer. It takes the raw power and, yes, the complexity of Kubernetes YAML.
And turns it into a manageable, reproducible, and efficient package management system.
Exactly. It's pretty much an indispensable tool for anyone working seriously with containerized applications on Kubernetes today.
Okay, so before we wrap up, here's a provocative thought for you to consider. This idea, this concept of packaging complex systems into reusable, version-controlled units. Well, it isn't unique to software, is it?
Interesting point.
Where else in your life, or maybe in your work, do you see something analogous to a Helm chart? A standardized pre-configured template or kit that simplifies a complex process.
Like a blueprint or recipe, maybe?
Maybe. What possibilities open up when you introduce those kinds of layers of abstraction? Something to think about?
Definitely food for thought.
Think about it, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.